Tell you about out of the entertainment world, rapper Nipsey Hussle was shot.
Police say the victim, a hip-hop musician named Mo 3, was approached by the killer on I-35.
Most rappers die in their own city. That's what Boosie said. And the streets prove him right every time. You can make it out the struggle and build a name, but the streets, they never forget. Here are 20 rappers who were killed in their own city. Starting off with Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle wasn't just a rapper. He was Crenshaw. He was LA. Born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, he made it out but never left. He built his empire right there, buying up businesses, opened up his own store, Marathon Clothing, right on Slauson and Crenshaw, his own neighborhood. People called him the Blueprint because he was showing the hood a way out, preaching ownership and building wealth. But the same place that raised him, it took him. See, Nip knew the risks of staying in LA, but he wasn't scared of his own city. He moved like he was untouchable. But the streets don't care about your success. Sometimes it's the people closest to you that bring you down. On March 31st, 2019, Nipsey was outside his Marathon store on West Slauson, posted up with his boys. Word is, Eric Holder, a dude from the same hood, came around. Nip allegedly told him he couldn't be there no more, said he was a snitch, and that one comment, that's what sealed his fate. Minutes later, Holder came back, and he wasn't just mad, he was out for blood. He walked straight up to Nipsey in broad daylight and let off 6 shots, hit him in the head, chest, and torso. Nipsey dropped, but it wasn't over. Holder circled back, shot him again just to make sure. Then, he kicked him before running off. This wasn't just murder, this was personal. Crenshaw was in shock. This wasn't no random killing. This was LA losing one of his own, right in the heart of the city. His people rushed to help, but it was too late. Nipsey Hussle died right there in front of the store he built. LA erupted. Fans flooded the streets, murals went up, and the city came together in grief. Even the gangs in South Central called a truce in his honor. But justice? Eric Holder got caught. Yeah, but LA would never be the same. Nipsey was supposed to be here. He died where he lived, and where he gave back. Big L. Big L, real name Lamont Coleman, wasn't just another rapper from Harlem. He was Harlem's golden child, a lyrical monster. His wordplay had legends like Jay-Z and Nas watching. Coming up in the 139th of Lennox, he dropped his debut album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, in '95, and by the late 90s, he was about to sign a major deal with Rockefeller. The streets knew L was the next up, but Harlem's love comes with Harlem's hate. By '99, Big L was sitting on the verge of superstardom, but Harlem was just heating up. The streets was watching, and L was still moving through his hood like he wasn't a target. Word was, his older brother, Big Lee, had beef with some people, and that put a target on L's back. Some say it was just payback for something his brother did, others think it was just jealousy. Either way, Harlem turned against its own. February 15th, 1999, L was just a few blocks from his home on the West 139th Street when he got lit up in the drive-by. 9 shots to the face and chest, execution style. This wasn't no warning, no stray bullet, this was a hit. The shooter, a dude named Gerald Woodley, one of Big L's childhood friends. L's death shook Harlem to its core. People knew this wasn't just random, but justice? Nah. Woodley got arrested, but was never convicted, and years later, he got gunned down too. Big L was supposed to be one of the greatest, but his city took him before the world even got the chance to see it. Soulja Slim. If you're from New Orleans, you know about Soulja Slim. Born James Tapp Jr., he came up in the Magnolia Projects, one of the wildest hoods in NOLA. He was realer than rap, repping No Limit Records, getting cosigns from Master P and Juvenile. But the streets, he never left them. Slim had a real reputation in NOLA. He beat a murder charge, did time, came home, and got right back in the booth. But the hood don't forget. Some say Slim was still beefing with old enemies. Others say he owed money to the wrong people. Whatever it was, Slim wasn't moving like a rapper. He was moving like the same dude from Magnolia. November 26, 2003, Slim was back in Gently, outside his mom's house on Delary Street. In broad daylight, a masked gunman ran and fired 4 shots, twice in the face, twice in the chest. No argument, no words, just death. Nola mourned hard. Juvenile, Lil Boosie, C-Murder, they all paid their respects. But the streets, they stayed silent. Police never arrested anyone, but years later, rumors started spreading that the hit was paid for. His killer, Gerald Smith, a known hitman who ended up dead himself not long after. The city lost a legend, but the cycle of revenge never stopped. Camouflage. Camouflage, born Jason Johnson, was Savannah's rap king. He was an industry. He was for the people, by the people. His mixtapes, his realness, the city loved him. He was on the brink of something major, even signing up a deal with Universal Records. But the problem? Savannah streets don't like to see one of their own win too much. Camouflage was on the rise, but he still had one foot in the streets. His name was buzzing, but so was the tension. He had survived a shooting just a year before, an obvious sign that somebody wanted him gone. But he refused to leave Savannah, said he was too real for that. May 19th, 2003. Camouflage was outside Pure Pain Records studio on 39th Street with his tireless son. Somebody pulled up, and before he could react, shots ran out. He dropped right there. While his son watched, Savannah was heartbroken. The police, they had nothing. No suspects, no arrest, just another rapper dead in his own city, in broad daylight with nobody talking. His son, who was right there, would grow up without a father. Hence Savannah, it lost its biggest voice. Fat Pat, Patrick Hawkins, was one of Houston's hometown legends, a key piece of the Screwed Up Clique, the same movement that gave birth to the slowed down, syrup-dripped Houston sound. He was right there with DJ Screw, Big Mo, and Lil Kiki, putting Houston on the map. His flow was clean, his hooks was catchy, and his city, they rocked with him heavy. But the industry, they was just starting to pay attention. Fat Pat had just dropped his debut album, Ghetto Dreams, in 1998, and major labels were watching. Houston was about to have another star, but here's the thing. When you're coming up fast, not everybody is happy for you. There were rumors of the tension, talk about money moves that went bad, and Fat Pat was still moving through Houston like he was untouchable. But nobody's untouchable in their own city. On February 3rd, 1998, Fat Pat went to an apartment complex on the south side of Houston to collect some money owed to him. It should have been routine, but when the money is involved, the streets move funny. He pulled up in the meadows of Southwest Apartments, expecting to walk out with his cash. Instead, he never walked out at all. He was shot multiple times inside the complex. No one saw nothing, no witness, no leads, just another rapper dead in his own city. Houston was crushed. This was supposed to be his time, his moment, and his life got cut short just before he saw the real success. His album dropped 2 weeks later, and suddenly, Fat Pat was everywhere, but he wasn't here to see it. To this day, nobody has been convicted for Fat Pat's murder. No justice, no closure. Just another dream cut short in the city that raised him. Big Hawk. John Big Hawk Hawkins wasn't just Fat Pat's older brother. He was a mentor, a leader, a Houston OG. After Fat Pat's murder, Hawk stepped up, trying to keep the Screwed Up Clique together. He was the one that everybody looked up to, a calm presence in the chaos of the streets. And the thing is, Hawk was never about the street life. He had already made it out. He was married, raising his kids, focusing on music. He had big plans, ready to take Houston to the next level. By 2006, Hawk was a respected name in the game. His single, You Already Know, was taken off, and he was still pushing the SUC movement. Unlike his younger days, he wasn't caught up in the beef. He wasn't moving reckless, but in the hood, they don't always matter. On May 1st, 2006, Hawk went to visit a friend's house at Red Farm Drive. It was supposed to be a normal night, just catching up, but someone had other plans. As soon as Hawk stepped outside, shots rang out. A bullet tore through him before he could even react. No argument, no warning, just death. Hawk died right there in front of his friend's house, in the same city he spent his life trying to uplift. Houston was in shock. This was a man who stayed out of drama, one who wasn't in the streets, who tried to keep the peace. And yet, the city still took him. To this day, nobody knows why. No arrest, no convictions, just another Houston legend gone way too soon. Proof. Deshaun Holton, was more than just Eminem's best friend. He was Detroit's battle rap king, a founding member of D12, a dude who had respect on every block in the city. If you was from Detroit, you knew Proof. He was the heart of the rap scene, and he held it down for the city always. By 2006, Proof was a certified legend. D12 was popping, he had money, success, and a solid career. But here's the thing, he never left Detroit. Even with all the fame, Proof stayed in the same clubs on the same streets. He was still the dude who would pull up to the battle just to school somebody. But in the streets, one wrong move, one bad night, that's all it takes. In April 11th of 2006, Proof was at CCC Club, an after-hours spot on 8 Mile Road, where he had been playing pool and drinking. Things got heated between him and a bouncer named Keith Bender. It turned into a fight. A gun got pulled. Proof shot Bender first, but before he could react, Bender's cousin Mario pulled out his gun and shot Proof twice in the head and chest. Just like that, Detroit lost one of its greatest. Eminem was devastated. Proof was his brother, his closest friend, the man who helped him survive Detroit's rap scene. Mario was never charged for murder, only gun possession. The city took another legend, and the cycle just kept going. Lil Jojo, Joseph Coleman, was only 18 years old when he got caught up in one of the deadliest beefs in Chicago's rap history. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a voice for the streets, someone who went head to head with some of the biggest names in drill music. He had the talent, the energy, and the heart to be something big. But in Chicago, beef ain't just rap, it's real life. JoJo was deep in the Gangsta Disciples, and in 2012, he was going at the Black Disciples heavy, specifically Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and Lil Reese. His song, BDK, Black Disciple Killer, was like throwing gasoline on an already burning fire. It wasn't just music, the beef was in the streets too. JoJo was known for rolling through enemy hoods, taunting his ops, posting his location, and calling out names. It was reckless, but in his eyes, fearless. September 4th, 2012. JoJo was riding his bike through the south side of Chicago, broad daylight. He just posted his location on social media, and people were watching. A car pulled up, and in an instant, shots rang out. JoJo was hit and left bleeding in the streets, while the car sped off. Right after JoJo died, Chief Keef tweeted, laughing at the situation. Later, he claimed his account was hacked, but the damage was done. Chicago went up in flames, and the war between the GDs and BDs got even worse. To this day, JoJo's murder is unsolved. No arrest, no justice, just another young life lost to Chicago's endless cycle of violence. Dobie, Glenn Thomas, was one of Montgomery, Alabama's biggest hopes. Signed to T.I.'s Hustle Gang, he had a distinctive flow, an eye patch that made him instantly recognizable, and a lane in the game that was opening up fast. He was on his way to national success, but like too many young rappers, he stayed too connected to the streets. Dobie's career was taking off, but Montgomery had other plans. There was bad blood between him and people in his own city. Some say it was jealousy, old beefs, or just someone who didn't want to see him win. What made it worse, Doe had already been shot before. He knew somebody wanted him dead, but he still moved around like he was untouchable. December 28, 2013. Doe B was at Centennial Hill Bar and Grill, a club in Montgomery. A local dude named Jason McWilliams walked in, saw Doe, and opened fire. Doe B was hit multiple times. 2 other people died that night, and the city lost one of its brightest young stars. T.I. and Hustle Gang mourned hard, and Montgomery felt the loss instantly. McWilliams turned himself in, but even with the arrest, the real reason behind the shooting remained unclear. Doe B was just 22 years old. He had his whole career ahead of him, but in his own city, success doesn't always mean safety. Chinks, Lionel Pickens, was finally about to break out as a mainstream star. He had always been French Montana's right-hand man, a key player in the Coke Boys, and Queens had his back heavy. His music was bubbling, he had industry support, and he was this close to making it big. But Queens don't always let you leave. Chinks had history in the streets. He had done time in prison and even thought he had turned his life around. But beef don't forget. He was getting his money now, moving differently, but still accessible. And in New York, that's dangerous. On May 17th, 2015, Chinks was driving his Porsche down Queens Boulevard, right near his hood. A car pulled up beside him, and before he could react, shots tore through the car. Chinks was hit multiple times in the chest. His car rolled into a pole, and he bled out right there in Queens, the same place that raised him. The industry was shocked. French Montana, Meek Mill, and others mourned the loss hard. For years, nobody knew who pulled the trigger. But in 2017, 2 men, Jamar Hill and Quincy Homere, were arrested. They had ties to Chinks from back in the day, meaning this was personal. Still, the question remains, was it really just old beef, or was Chinks moving too freely in a city that never let you escape? Bankroll Fresh, Trentavious White, was one of Atlanta's most promising stars. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a hustler, a businessman, and a street legend in the making. Coming up under street money worldwide, he had the real trap sound, that raw, unfiltered energy. By 2016, his career was finally blowing up. Songs like Hot Boy and Walked In had the streets rocking with him heavy. He had worked with 2 Chainz, Gucci Mane, T.I., and was next up in Atlanta's rap scene. But the city, it don't always let you make it out. Bankroll wasn't just making music, he was still deep in the streets. He had money, respect, but he also had beef. One of those tensions, his issues with No Plug, another Atlanta rapper. They had a history, and that bad blood didn't go away. On March 4th, 2016, Bankroll was at Streets Excess Studio in Atlanta, a spot he frequented. No Plug pulled up. Words were exchanged, things got heated, and suddenly, guns were drawn. Security kicked No Plug out of the studio, but the situation wasn't over. Minutes later, shots rang out. Bankroll grabbed his gun and started firing back. Over 50 rounds were exchanged. In the chaos, Bankroll got hit multiple times. He made it to the hospital, but the wounds were too severe. Atlanta lost one of its brightest young stars right in front of his own studio. No Plug later did an interview saying he shot in self-defense. No charges were filed. The case closed, but Atlanta knew the streets had claimed another one. Bankroll had all the potential, but just like so many others, his city didn't let him get there. Jimmy Wopo, Trayvon Smart, was supposed to be Pittsburgh's next big star. He had that gritty East Coast flow, but with a modern melodic twist. Tracks like Elm Street and First Day Out had the city rooting for him. He had just signed a major deal, He was about to get out of the trenches, but before he can even leave, Pittsburgh made sure that he never got the chance. Jimmy just wasn't making music. He was repping Hill District heavy. He had been in and out in trouble, surviving shootouts, dodging the fate that took so many before him. But he wasn't moving sloppily. He knew his enemies were watching. On June 18th, 2018, Wopo was riding through Middle Hill with a friend. A car pulled up beside them, and before Wopo could even react, gunshots exploded through the air. His passenger survived, but Wopo took the worst of it. He died right there in his own city. The industry felt this one hard. Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, Meek Mill all paid respects. Pittsburgh lost his biggest voice since Mac, and once again, a rapper was taken before his time. To this day, his killers were never caught. Another case of a city turning on its own. Jay the Youngin. Jay the Youngin, Javorius Tyke Scott, was one of Louisiana's most unique voices. He had that raw, pain-filled sound, blended melodies, and real street talk. With hits like 23 Island and Elimination, he had the industry taking notice. But like many before him, he stayed too connected to the streets. Jay had been in and out of jail, always making headlines for the wrong reasons. Even when he started blowing up, he still moved through his city like he wasn't a target. Bogosa, Louisiana, his hometown, wasn't exactly a rap hub, but that's where he stayed, where he felt comfortable. On July 27, 2022, he was outside his home, posted up with his father. Two masked men pulled up. Before Jay or his dad could react, they opened fire. Jay tried to run inside, but it was too late. He got hit multiple times, and his father was shot too, but survived. But Jay, he didn't make it. Louisiana was in shock. His family, fans, and friends all mourned hard. Authorities later said the hit was a retaliation from an old beef, but no one was officially charged. Another young talent gone in his own city before he even had the chance to leave. Lil Snoop. Lil Snoop, a Darren Ross, was a teen with a gift, a freestyle beast who can rap for hours without writing a single line. He caught Meek Mill's attention, got signed to Dream Chasers, and was about to take off in the rap game. But when he was still just 18 years old, fresh out of Winfield, Louisiana, a small town with big dangers. He had talent, the cosign, and the hunger, but what he didn't have was time. Snoop had just come back to Louisiana, still moving like a regular dude in his own city. The problem? Old habits die hard. On June 20th, 2013, he was in an apartment complex playing video games and gambling. Money was on the line, and the night turned tense. Snoop and a man named Tony Holden got into it over a bet gone bad. Words turned into yelling, and before anybody could cool it down, a gun came out. Snoop was shot twice in the chest. The dream was over before it began. Meek Mill was heartbroken, saying Snoop was destined for greatness. His hometown mourned, but the streets did what they always do, went silent. Tony Holden turned himself in, but even with justice served, Louisiana lost a future legend that night. Young Greatness. Young Greatness, Theodore Jones, wasn't just another rapper from New Orleans. He had a different sound, blending melody with real street stories. He had a platinum hit, Moolah, and was on his way to even bigger success. He left New Orleans to chase his dream, but when he came back, the city made sure he never left again. Greatness knew his city was dangerous. He even spoke on it, saying he had to move carefully. But on October 29th, 2018, he was back in New Orleans, outside the Waffle House on LCN Fields Avenue, late at night, alone. Three masked men rolled up, and they wasn't just robbing them. They came for blood. A struggle broke out, gunshots rang through the night, and Young Greatness died right there in the parking lot. In the city, he tried to escape. His mother said that he was trying to leave the streets behind, but the streets wasn't done with him yet. Police later arrested two men, but the question remains, Was it a setup or just another senseless act of violence? Smoke Dogg. Smoke Dogg, bringing Toronto's street rap to the world. He was tight with Drake and toured with him, and was next up in the city's buzzing scene. He survived the roughest parts of Regent Park, but no matter how big you get, your city still got you on the timer. By 2018, Smoke Dogg was on the verge of real fame. He had the city behind him, but also had enemies. Toronto had deep street beefs, and Smoke Dogg was right in the middle of it. On June 30th, 2018, he was in Toronto's entertainment district, a busy shot where people come to party, not die. Broad daylight, two shooters ran up, no words, no warnings, it just opened fire. Smoke Dogg was hit multiple times, dropping in the middle of the street. Toronto was shaken. Drake spoke out, calling it a massive loss for the city. Months later, two men were arrested, linked to a long-running gang feud, but in the end, it didn't matter. Smoke Dogg was gone. Freaky Ty. Freaky Ty, Raymond Rogers, was a hype man, a rapper, and a key member of the Lost Boys, one of the biggest rap groups out of Queens, New York in the 90s. His energy, his ad-libs, his presence, it made the Lost Boys stand out. He wasn't the front man, but he was the life of the group. They had hits like Jeeps, Lex Coupes, Bemaz and Benz, and Renee, putting South Jamaica, Queens on the map. But success in rap doesn't always mean safety. By 1999, the Lost Boys were still buzzing, but the streets were getting messy. There was a beef brewing, and Ty got caught up in the middle, even though he wasn't one causing the problems. On March 28, 1999, Freaky Ty was at a birthday party for Mr. Cheeks, his group mate, at a hotel in Queens. He was just there to celebrate, but outside, his killers were waiting. Around 4 a.m., Ty left the party, walking towards his car. That's when a masked gunman ran up and shot him in the back of the head. The shooter didn't rob him, didn't say a word, just pulled the trigger and dipped. This was a hit. The city was in shock. Queens lost one of its own. Turns out, the hit was a retaliation gone wrong. The killers were after someone else, but Ty got caught up in the crossfire. His killer, Kelvin Jones, was arrested, but that didn't change the fact that hip-hop lost one of its loudest voices in the streets that made him. Doughboy Rock. Doughboy Rock, Rodney Yorgan, was one of Detroit's realest spitters, a member of Doughboy's Cash Out. He had that raw, street storytelling, mixing flashy bars with real-life struggles. He wasn't mainstream, but in Detroit, he was respected heavily. He represented the struggle, the grind, the hunger, and his music painted a picture of what it really meant to come up in the D. His city rocked with him, but respect and hate go hand in hand, especially when success starts knocking. By 2017, Doughboy Rock was still deep in Detroit. He never distanced himself from the city. He had been grinding, dropping projects, and staying active in the game. But in the streets, the past doesn't stay buried. He was moving like he was untouchable, but word on the street was that tension was still brewing. Some claimed that jealousy was at play. Others said that he was in the middle of old beefs that never got settled. But one thing was clear, somebody wanted him gone. On October 9th, 2017, Doughboy Rock was in Detroit's West Side, a place he knew too well. That afternoon, he was posted up in his whip on Westfield Avenue, just chilling. A car pulled up beside him, the window slid down, and before Rock could even react, gunfire exploded. Multiple shots tore through him, striking his right ear and shoulder. He never got the chance to escape. He died right there, in the same city that raised him. Detroit felt this one heavy. His fans, his family, and the city mourned his loss. But the streets, the silence was loud. The police had nothing No suspects, no arrest, no witnesses willing to talk. His murder is still unsolved. For Detroit, it was another painful reminder that making it out is harder than making it in. L.A. Capone. L.A. Capone, born Leonard Anderson, was one of the hottest young drill artists coming out of Chicago, and at just 17 years old, he had already built a name alongside Lil Durk and Rondo No. 9. Dropping straight heat for the city, his flow, cold, his energy, unmatched. But in Chicago, rap wasn't just music, it was war. L.A. Capone wasn't just affiliated with the 600, a set underneath the Black Disciples. He was actively in the mix. That meant automatic enemies, including FBG and the Gangsta Disciples. He was on the come up, but his name was ringing too loud. Ops were watching, and in a city where rappers become targets, he was moving with no real protection. Chicago street beefs don't play fair, and by 2013, the city was already a war zone. September 26, 2013. LA had just wrapped up a session at the recording studio near Stony Island Avenue on the south side. He stepped out, probably still vibing to the music he had just recorded. Then, gunshots. A mass shooter ran up and fired multiple times and disappeared into the night. LA got hit in the thigh and lower back, but the worst part, one of the bullets shattered his spine. They rushed him to the hospital, but the damage was too much. That night, L.A. Capone was gone. Chicago felt the loss instantly. His fans, his crew, and the entire drill scene knew that this was a future star taken way too early. Years later, 2 men were arrested for his murder, but justice don't bring back talent. For Chicago, it was another painful chapter in a city that never lets its own make it out. Mo 3. Mo 3 wasn't just a rapper, he was Dallas, storyteller. He had that pain-filled music, the kind that hit you deep because you just knew he really lived it. He was signed to Boosie's Badass. He had a loyal fan base and was finally blowing up on the national level. But in Dallas, being a star is dangerous. Mo 3 had street ties and his name held weight in Dallas, but that came with enemies. He had been in multiple beefs, and by 2020, it was getting deadly. Whispers in the city said he had a target on his back, and he knew it. He even spoke about people trying to kill him. But no matter what, he kept moving the same. On November 11th, 2020, he was driving down I-35 in broad daylight. He didn't realize a car was following him until it was too late. Mo 3 spotted the car behind him. He tried to get away, but traffic slowed him down. So he did what he could. He jumped out and ran. The shooter, he got out too, chased Mo 3 down on foot and emptied the clip. Mo 3 died right there on the highway. His body laid out in the middle of the road in a city that once loved him. Dallas was in shock. This wasn't just another rapper gone. This was an execution in broad daylight. Police arrested Kawan White, but rumors ran wild. This wasn't random. This was payback. Another artist who never got the chance to truly leave his city before it took him.